up, stocks are roaring, and consumers are spending. Those are just some of this week's Bidenomics themes. For more, we're bringing in Yahoo Finance senior columnist Rick Newman. Here we are, October 18th. No October surprise. Or maybe the surprise is that the markets are doing great. I don't know, Rick.
Rewind just 3 weeks ago or so, and there were warnings galore of what an October surprise might be. Inflation might reaccelerate. Stocks are known to be very wobbly during election years in the October before election years. A bunch of other things that could have gone wrong. I just got my Yahoo Finance alert. Stock S&P 500 longest weekly win streak of 2024. I mean, this is like turning out to be the best month of the year. The economic news is good. The job market continues to be strong. And we saw retail sales numbers this week. Consumers continue to spend money. So one thing that is not going to surprise us is when election day does arrive, and it's coming soon, the U.S. economy is going to be sound. There could be other surprises, but the economy is in good shape.
Rick, a number of polls this week. I'm interested. Fox News, Marist, Marquette. Did we learn anything new there, Rick?
No, we didn't. In fact, it's remarkable how stable these polls are. And you'll see headlines that say Trump has overtaken Harris by a point, or Harris is back up by a point. All these changes that we've seen during the last couple of weeks, they're generally within the margin for error on these polls. So this is really going to come down to, I think, a couple of key things. Turnout is going to be absolutely huge. And I always like to remind people we're talking about a small number of voters in those 7 swing states, which are Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. So getting people out to vote in the first place is going to be huge. What we did see that was a little bit different this week is changes in the betting markets, which now say that Trump is up by like 15 percentage points, even 20 percentage points in some of them. Betting markets are not; those are not polls, and what those tell you is what people who are actually gambling money on the U.S. election, what they are betting on, and they now seem to be betting more on Trump, which is why Trump's odds are going up now. There are many anomalies here. This is a thin pool that you can't even bet on candidates within the United States. It happens offshore. And the Wall Street Journal today had a story on one of the markets called Polymarket, in which they have identified 4 big traders, which could be one person. It's 4 accounts, and it could be one individual who is making a lot of trades. That person's basically a whale who seems to be moving the whole market with these big trades. So we don't know who that person is. That could be deliberate manipulation by a Trump ally to make it look as if Trump is gaining momentum, or it could just be an anomaly. But I would not put much faith in betting markets showing a huge skew here. This race is almost as close as it could possibly be.
Right. And, by the way, there is one place where you can place election bets in the United States, and that's on Kalshi, which is a prediction market that just recently got clearance from the CFTC and a court in order for people to sort of do yes/no bets on whether, and trades, I should say, on who's going to win the election.
Keep a little money in your pocket, everybody.
Yeah, right. It's interesting here. I guess, we struggle with the polls, with the prediction markets, whatever it may be, and their accuracy. At the end of the day, do we see polls having an effect on voter turnout? And do we see people say, oh, well, this shows decisively so-and-so is going to win, so I'm not going to bother to go out? Does that happen?
I don't think that we know. It certainly could happen, but Julie, that's up to the camp. That's when what you hear this phrase in political campaigns called the ground operation or the ground campaign. That's the job of the ground campaign in those swing states, in the counties, down to the individual zip code and neighborhood. It is the job of the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign to get people out and vote, obviously for their candidate, no matter what is happening outside of what's happening on the ground there. The one thing I will add is the huge question in polling this time around is Trump going to overperform in the election relative to the polls, which he did in both 2020 and 2016. So rule of thumb is that in those 2 elections, Trump did about 3 percentage points better in the actual vote than he did in the polls. So if you apply that now, and Kamala Harris is up by a percentage point or 2 percentage points, but then you take away that 3 percentage point difference, then that suggests Trump is winning. But pollsters will tell you we have now accounted for that difference. We don't think it's going to be a factor in 2024 the way it was, especially in 2016 when the polls were the most wrong. Nobody's going to know until the votes are counted, and then we can see how they campaign with the. But if it's not manipulation in the betting markets, that would be an explainer for why betting markets seem to favor Trump now, because the polls are down to 1 or 2 percentage points, and that would be smaller than the margin by which Trump outperformed before. So if he outperforms by the same margin, he will win. I'm not saying he will, though.
3.5 weeks is when we'll find out. Rick,
we're counting it down. Ben Werschel and I are now counting it down in hours for what it's worth.
Oh gosh, that makes it
It's
seem longer
it's
though.
a little more than 400 by now, and on Monday it'll be less than 400.
Okay, I guess that seems better. Rick, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.